Alrighty, welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread Podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Ben. It's a brand new era, Eli. Not only our 93rd episode, a number we both hold in very high regard, but it's the first episode of the Dark Horse era. Grendel Warchild, number 1. 1993's Eisner Award-winning, was it Best Limited Series?
I think so,
yes. Series, whatever it was the best of that. Wowie, wow. What a book, Eli.
What a book. It's great to be here. Again, we were talking about it before. This is probably the place where a lot of people first encountered Grendel. These books probably had a much higher print run than the Kimiko books. These were coming out when this like big comics boom was happening with Image and Wizard and all this stuff. So
it's
it was
on the heels of Spawn and sort of ahead of Max aesthetically with his Simon Bisley cover. Oh my gosh,
these amazing Bisley covers.
Matt inks Canadian cartoonist Pat McEwen.
That's right.
I think people in our circle remember him most fondly from his air cell work on, I believe, Samurai. But I was delighted to see that his more strip style Mad Magazine stuff is kind of in the Dave Cooper realm. Really nice stuff.
Agreed. Yeah. And he did a bunch more work for DC and for DC Vertigo, doing short stories and a bunch of their anthology series, and even went on to do some storyboard work for Batman Beyond and X-Men Evolution.
If you're in the Grendel Devil in Detail brain trust and you've got info on Pat McEwen, join the conversation. Tell us what we need to know and look at.
Yeah, what else do we need to read?
Thank you.
I tried to do some research on him today, and there's not a ton about him. He's not super active on social medias. He does have an Instagram. I tried to follow him with our Devil in Detail Insta. So if you're watching this, Pat, hit us up. We're going to want to interview you in 10 weeks if we can keep our schedule.
Bernie's back on the colors.
Guess who's back?
It's a style almost, I guess it's identical to the way that Dark Horse redid Devil by the Deed.
Yeah.
Flat, but with brush strokey on the blue line. Looks very.
Oh, there is a nice recoloring of this for a trade, or no? I didn't look at my trade.
No. Bernie, no, but it's the same aesthetic as the Devil in Detail work.
Okay,
that Bernie did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at on the uncoated floppy for the first time.
UCF.
Uncoded is just it's just better.
It's just better. It's how it was meant to be seen and presented.
Sure. Bernie also has an assistant, it seems. Bernie will pick up an assistant later on, but the real treat is that Matt is coloring. I'm sorry, Matt is writing and also inking, which puts a really unique spin on it. And there's so many cool, like, little ways that he marries everything together. Panders, Bernieisms, all like Tim Sale, all kinds of. Matt's sort of able to put in a stew.
I love that too, like how they're able to draw from everything that Grendel has already been, and yet still like push forward, still find new ways to get the story across, new ways to tell it. And this is a stark difference from the Sale stuff, the last book we were reading, which was so packed dense with words and narrative, and years pass in issues, and here we have numerous wordless pages, and seemingly not much time has passed at all in this whole adventure other than the last issue.
Yeah, it seems like every issue of Warchild is structured to have two silent action sequences that are very like Schwarzenegger, Terminator. It's like T2 in a lot of ways. It's like a lot of things in a lot of ways.
Matt just did the Terminator 2, or he did the Terminator one shot right before this. Yeah.
I've still never seen it.
Didn't I send it to you, or no, we didn't find it? Or we did find it?
I've never seen it.
Because when you were here, I was looking for it and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, absolutely were. It has like a pop out in it.
It has a pop up. Yeah. That would be a good a side issue.
Good mini app. So it's also worth mentioning here that this is the first appearance of the Grendel Prime Paladin, we've already dealt with him in the first. I don't know. Did we do all of?
We didn't do
Devil's
all
Odyssey?
of them, no, because
some of Devil's Odyssey,
right? Only what we did while we were
right,
it was
because
coming out.
While it was coming out, because it started before the podcast.
Right. Well, also and before the pandemic, and then was put on hold.
Right, right. Wow. So the Paladin is, it's like Alpha Omega to Orion, but then there's like another loop of Omega, because the Paladin relates so interestingly back to Hunter Rose. The story here is that the Paladin is on the road with Jupiter, young Jupiter, and that's it. It's like this lone wolf and cub thing. And Laurel is trying to run the world and get Jupiter back, because he's him being kidnapped by this crazy Paladin is not part of the plan.
Right. And it says that they're cloistered away in the underground military complex, the same one that we saw from those great up and down Tim Sale panels, where it's like the cabin up top and then there's the big shaft and then there's like the hideaway below.
Yeah, him and Crystal and Susan Varigan. And I think a lot about that. Like, in order for that, the Assante shack / Batcave security to work, they probably have a lot of other cabins surrounding it, where Grendel's hide out as like Bushman hunting survivalists and give people bad directions to keep them away from the that's my first pitch for the black, white, and red all over.
Oh, nice. Black, white, and red all over. Hey, I wonder if this is we know Matt's a big Beatles fan, so I wonder if this is, somewhere in the dark Rock Hills of Dakota there lived a young boy named Jupiter Assante.
Yeah, man.
Rocky Raccoon.
We were so excited to talk about all the great things about War Child that we didn't do any kind of introduction. Let's do the intro, and then we'll read the book in excruciating detail.
Yes.
It's like the devil is my best friend. Hunter Rose with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, we are back. Thanks again to Menace and Laserdisc for the killer theme song. You know it every time, y'all. All right, so we're deep in on this. We already talked about, where we're picking up the Killer Bisley cover, and we start out on the plains. We see these vast, large, picturesque scenery, and then we see the smoke kind of coming up, and we see like a motorcycle just go. Yeah,
it really does have that flyby feeling. I think that there's a number of issues that open up with these like static horizontals as they come through. It's so Western, it's so cinematic. It really puts you there.
It really reminds me of Fear and Loathing, because I feel like there's this exact scene where the white shark flies by and they, the camera pans, maybe like is on a crane and then comes down as it rips by, and then racks focus to like a skull like this, like a Stedman-esque skull.
Yeah,
so
it's
perfect.
I think it's funny in this book. You have to look harder for the Bernieisms, because
like panel 4 here.
They're all over the place. They're just sort of, they're baked in a really unique way. My initial thought was like, when I think about like the sky's always blue, and it's almost like there's parts of this book tonally from the color that's like, it's like from Jupiter's perspective. It's like a kid's more like bright colored perspective.
Interesting.
It does get more like moody and weird as the story does, but at first I was surprised because it's such different Bernie work. But if you look closely, his mark it's sort of microscopic. Yeah, you gotta look for it.
Again in panel 5 too, where he puts the little spots
Yeah.
The like fading.
That's a great example of it. Yeah, because it's an analog. I mean, this looks like it's still on blue line. You can still see brush strokes, but it's mostly so flat that you might be tricked into thinking it's digital.
Yeah,
in some places, really early,
Yeah, I think it's like an aesthetic choice again that Matt was like, this has got to be a little more stark. It's not as like frenzied, frenetic as Epi Thatcher or as grandiose as Orion Assante. So that leaves room for these ink washes or these explosions or these crazy things. It's just more stark. It's like desert. There's not a lot of high technology in most of it, so it's like got that Western color scheme.
Right. I mean, in the Tales from the Underground shorts, Bernie, it would feel like dappled lighting was coming in through stained glass windows with rain falling on it, through a kaleidoscope all the time. Yeah. And it's just, it's so different here and so matter of fact. I think it works better in Devil by the Deed. But I'm gonna look really closely in here to find the things.
We're gonna find it, Bernie.
Yeah.
And we reached out again to Bernie to see if he's got anything to say about this part of the run.
Yeah.
So
like they're in this awesome skiff motorcycle sidecar deal.
Yeah.
And at the top of it on the sidecar, it closes up like the Michael Keaton Batmobile.
Oh, that's right. Like to guard him and stuff.
Yeah, man. And I think what's great about this is that in the action sequences, they really treat the camera very cinematically.
Absolutely. Like we're on to page 2 now.
Like you could shoot based on this as a board, no problem. Like it all makes sense spatially.
Yeah. Really cool. It's got like a pod racing vibe kind of too, where it's like ripping through these little these little canals, these little spots in between mountains and stuff. Yeah. And on page 2, it continues super cinematically. And then it's till page 3 that we get any dialogue.
Yeah. The reveal. Yeah. There's also a reveal that they're being tailed by at least 3 other people on bikes.
Oh, but not yet. Not till later.
No, the end of page 2. That
right.
That gets seated.
I see.
Yeah, they're very, very small. To the point where I don't know if up until that point Prime knows that they're being followed.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when because he probably has like a display kind of thing, don't you think? Like you think in that helmet, he's got like some sort of like,
well, we don't know anything
Tony
about this guy,
we really don't. We don't know much because he gets a tune-up later on or something, right? Because
he gets taken apart a few times, I think, in different stories.
Yeah.
We have the benefit of having read Devil's Odyssey, where he gets like more character development like per capita in that 8-issue series
for sure
than he does in the rest. But also at this point, this is the most published Grendel incarnation.
Oh, that's right.
Right? Like Hunter has X issues at this point now, and or he might
because
he might be on his way, but by the end of the next series he will be.
Yeah,
he'll be the champ.
He'll be the champ.
Yeah.
All right, so on page 3 then he's like, he's like, okay, now you got to put your head down because we're going to get into some serious shit.
Yeah. Now
and then that's when we cut over with a screen to the Black Hills of Dakota, where there lives a crazy
lonesome nondescript shack. It was a log cabin with no bathroom.
and we're introduced to, not only we get back to Laurel Kennedy Assante and her trusty her man Alfred. Heath. Mm-hmm.
Heath is Heath, I believe, is there to be as dry as possible to remind Laurel that the business of running the planet is not as glamorous as she thought it was going to be. It's very practical and very dry. Yeah. And he pretty much just like tells us what's going on,
Right. He's like,
either by recapping or moving that story forward. What'd you say? We must get them. And they just keep sending more and more of these elite.
Oh yeah, get
Grendel
them, find them,
dudes.
seize them.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah,
But
and it's interesting too. Like, there's a little bit of a screen tone here, and I feel like
it's great.
I feel like in this period, screen tones are like on their way out of being used in comics before they're like cool again. In like our time. So like they're very slimly used.
Well, Matt is the inker, and he's got all that extra screen tone that
right.
But he's pretty selective when he uses it.
Especially in this one,
especially in this. And it's a lot of these gradient fades. Brain trust. If you have access to an authentic gradient screen tone, I would love to get my hands on it.
I got some from that deleter place.
Okay. All right.
You didn't even need to go to the brain trust.
I didn't even need to just ask you. You're the brain trust.
I used some in my most recent where'd it go? My most recent Ringside Thology comic.
You know where Bernie's showing some fighting spirit? Very nice. There you go. Ringside Thologies. Bernie's got a little bit of fight in these windows on the shack. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of wet on wet with the highlight. Very nice, Bernard.
And I mean, and his background in panel 1 here. I mean, that's definitely like that's something.
That's the sandy atmosphere of the desert chase.
Oh, okay. It's being like that's the smoke, the smoke cloud you see.
It's the chaos of the road, my man.
Right.
We learned
so Laurel's all pissed here because there's been an abduction.
All these dudes are dead.
All these Grendels are.
They're all shot dead.
Yeah. Seemingly through the head.
Their costumes are so strange.
Like the Grendel uniform,
the pink
thing?
Pants and like the purple thing on the boot and the samurai sleeves, and it looks like Mobius's Dune designs, where it's just like out there.
I would love to try to build this costume for like a cosplay or something. It would be fun. I like the triangle shoulders and
don't forget the pink pants.
The pink pants. You can never forget the pink pants. All right, next page we see Laurel and Heath. I mean, this is kind of where the bulk of the dialogue goes on for these next couple issues, I guess.
Well, Jupiter's been abducted.
Yeah. And she's like, where'd he go? Yeah. And Heath is just kind of like doing his like a bait, like it's fine, madam.
He's got his little paper, his little notebook. Look at panel 4 of the silhouette when she smacks it out of his hand. It flies through the air, and all the pages flutter in different ways. Look at that. Look at the modulation of those gestural lines. Very nice.
These are nice. And all the detail on Heath's face. I mean, how much of that was Pat and how much of that was Matt? Because that's not super Matty. That's not something we see a lot of with him.
Yeah, well, look at the first one with in the top of his forehead, where he's carving back in with dagger strokes of opaque white.
Really cool.
So he's crosshatch deleting. Anyway, in all this rage, what's her name? Crystal wakes up, and Laurel just treats her like a baby who can't do anything, but she does. I think she's supposed to be like 15, 16.
I think so.
But she's like, looks like she's like 12 here. So I'm not sure.
She's probably keeps her in some sort of like drug induced haze as well. Like she keeps her a little bit aloof. And she has what we see in panel 2, this shadowy figure with white skin, very white.
I did not realize that's Susan. Yeah.
Yeah, and a mohawk there.
There's her guard.
First appearance of Susan.
Look at the screen tone in this one.
Right.
Coming down from the light.
The roofs. Yeah, that's
really like cool. That's very like magey, you think?
Yeah.
And mangy. Then see, look at this hatching in panel 3 on Crystal's face.
Yeah, that's so good. That's also very magey. Yeah, I would agree on that.
Like John Totalbin Swamp Thing in the eyelids.
Oh yeah, how it like really gets a little thicker there. All right,
so anyway, they're gonna send out Red Devils. Yeah, the dreaded Red Devils are gonna get them.
Send them to the desert, yes, madame.
And then she sends them off. She gives them a pep talk, and they go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, on the next page, yeah, she's like, yeah, we've got to find the heir apparent has been kidnapped. Yeah.
So then there's a jump in time, right? So I guess this was a flashback, and now we're back to the present as these two red devils. Look at their skiffs. Look like what is it? P-40 Warhawks.
Yeah,
yada
exactly.
yada yada.
There's a nice couple like zoom ins on those a couple pages later.
Oh, my dad would like that.
Yeah, it's like that's very cool. All right, so yeah, we see that he's being trailed by the sorry, what are they called? The Red Devils, which again seems like an air squadron, like the Blue Angels, the Red Devils. I bet you that's kind of
their helmets are cool because they're very like samurai. They have the flaps on the ears and kind of like the baseball brim and the sweep back.
Yeah, with the white like Sub-Zero Scorpion,
right?
Kind of like.
Well, he's also got kind of that, the eyes are like painted over different parts of the mask.
And when you see it on right here, he really has like a face mask kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's a seam where the mask, you see there's a seam in the decal or whatever it is.
Absolutely, like of the eyes. Yeah,
they got him surrounded.
Mm-hmm. And that's when he puts up the armor mode there.
Yeah, that's a great cast shadow. That's another. Like it looks like V for Vendetta, like David Lloyd artwork, like really, really dramatic, really British, I guess Canadian. I had previously thought that Pat McEwen was Sean McManus, who did like the Swamp Thing Walt Kelly issue. So when I read this, I was like, oh yeah, British guy, makes sense. Not so.
No. All right, and well, here's where we see like the first of these armaments that Prime kind of like has either built into him, or he kind of has all these. Where does he get these wonderful toys? So he straps it on, and it's kind of shown in the Bisley cover too. So it's like
what is it? It's like it shoots.
It's
darts?
Like a gauntlet that shoots darts. Yeah. So then he strides off the thing, and then on the next page we see he's like in the crosshairs. We get the like Grendel Public Enemy logo.
He's looking right at the
guy. Like, come on.
So he takes the bullets, I guess.
Yeah, they're just shooting at him.
This page is revealed that he has like a force field arm shield.
Oh, he has that he has, we see later.
He has crazy technology.
He has so much shit. Yeah.
And he pops his lightsaber.
Yep.
And and it's a straight red lightsaber. And God bless you. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, huh. And the more I see it, the more I love it.
I know.
It's great.
I was like, can you do that? And then I'm like, why couldn't you do it? Hell yeah, you can fucking do that.
I think
he's gonna have a laser dick later, so it's like
a ship dick. I think that in the rhyming ring theory George Lucas plotting that Matt does with this property, like the thing that George Lucas said he was doing, Matt actually does.
Oh yeah.
So I think you've earned all the lightsabers you want.
Agreed, man. And here he just is. He's just sabering these people to pieces as they're trying to reload their guns. He's just sliding around on his knees, flipping around, cutting them in twine.
I feel like this page is maybe Bernie's best in the issue.
Really?
So far, the way that he treats the lightsaber in panel 1 looks great. And then in panel 3, that's got that little afterglow effect.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me what like Barry Smith would do on the Solar Man of the Atom, where it was like prismatic and psychedelic. And look at what Bernie does when the shield is behind his eyes.
Right.
That looks cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of like what Brennan was calling knockouts too, that gives you some of the detail like on the face of Prime and on like the shine in the helmet and stuff. Bernie's doing some great work there too.
Yeah, a lot of good rendering. A lot of good rendering here.
Everybody's pulling their weight. It's nice to see Matt's like pen stroke again in the
for sure. He's making the finished art, but McEwen is doing this really cinematic penciling stuff.
Yeah,
honestly, like the stuff that came up in my searches, I was surprised to see that he has like a more like gag mad style,
like a cartoony style.
This is like a straight adventure strip, like continuity editing kind of thing. And so Matt can just focus on getting the images to be as buttery as they are. It looks really good. Like every panel looks great.
And this next spread is beautiful. Pages 10 and 11, just sheer action. He's like, they're shooting off the cliff at him. He's whooshing them and shooting shit, blowing up their damn heads as he runs around. And it's not like normal beats too. Again, like panel 4, it's like we see him fall as he like pivots. Like that part of the arm is not shown then in the next panel, but we know it's almost like we're pulling out from this, And,
I really like the last one in the second tier where he's shoom and he's shooting behind him. It's a very awkwardly posed moment. Like not a bad drawing by any means. It's just like it's not like someone who's drawing superheroes that are posing for a camera that's not there. It's just people trying to get the fuck out of this fight.
Right.
Looks great.
And cinematic, like a movie where there's, they're shooting behind him as he's running. It's like, you gotta have the squibs in the ground or something. And he's just he is lightning precision, because if you're thinking about the reader at this point too, they don't know anything about Prime. They don't know he's like a cyborg.
Well, at the end of this page, he looks like he takes a bullet and it sort of metallically ricochets.
Fatang. But I mean, that still could be armor, or it could be,
well, he's taking a lot of punishment.
For sure. He's kind of like a knight. He's like a knight of and like his king is
right. Well, a paladin is one that swears a sacred oath to an ideal, I believe. And my wife gets really excited because the paladins were the mascot of her high school.
Oh, really?
Every time, and I prefer referring to this character as the paladin.
I've noticed, and I never did before until you.
I only do it for my wife, because I love her.
You do?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes.
And so he mounts his steed again, vrooms it up, takes one fucking as he 360s and rips out of there. They all jump back on their bombers here and chase after him. And another great Western scene. You would see the horses riding off as the camera like pans back to see like one of the dead's hands. This last tier is really good. It's the same effect as the first page where you get the reverse shot as you watch them go in the distance once they pass through. But then in the last frame, we kind of pick up with them that we're kind of like right in between as they're rushing through these mountainous like cavern bridge kind of thing. And on the next page, I'm a big fan of this diagonal kind of cut in a panel. I go to that a lot if I'm looking for like something dynamic. I'll do that. It's funny. I remember looking at these ones and wishing that the angle of the drawing was also tilted a little bit. Oh, right. Man, but I think this one is the composition is really interesting on that second panel, like how the guy like just kind of fits like right in that space. Yeah. This smoke looks great. That's my favorite part. It's so cool too, because this is like a horse race, a horse Western chase scene with like futuristic bombers. Like it's such a combination of what seems to be like Matt's future love. Retro. Like, yeah, exactly. Of World War II bombing. What's it called? Dogfight or whatever. Yeah, they're being much more specific about those kinds of references. Where, like in Christine Spar, you'd have like, oh, it's like a Volkswagen Beetle, but it flies. Yeah. So it is the same kind of language, for sure. I love this explosion panel. I guess it's panel 3. The lighting and coloring on this guy as the thing goes off behind him is so really great. The mask pops so hard. The you were calling them, what do you call them, like carrots or something at one point? How do you get that to just like for me it never looks as
No,
feathered
carrots
as
carrots
like
are triangular.
you just draw the triangle, but
Shark teeth.
that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a that would be like a
this is like
brush stroke.
a dagger stroke.
Yeah, gotcha.
I guess.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
it probably is.
yeah, like I just love that it's like the rim is white, big shadow, dagger strokes into gray. It's so well rounded.
All right,
Anyway,
so I mean,
and then there was one.
He's really doing some pod race shit right here, where he's making these crazy turns, so they're like scream and hitting the thing.
Mm-hmm.
See, I like how
the gun holes in the nose cone kind of work. We didn't even talk about their machine guns. They're kind of like snub-nosed, clean white machine guns.
That's right. Yeah.
So cool. All right.
All right. So then, he pulls a maneuver, and
what is? Oh, he drops a mine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what it poops out.
It
the
poops out.
is poop. So he poops out of mine. That's great.
Is that that is what that is, right?
It's got to be.
I think the poop is that the machine is so like the action on the machine is so like prompt that like it's like the sound of like the like fiber carbon like port like popping open
and
just like depositing it out.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's so funny.
That's great. So they drive right over it, and he destroys that person, and then he wastes no time in opening that up for Jupiter to see like what has happened.
There is a wonderful Campbellian quality to the mentorship that Jupiter is getting. Jupiter doesn't say anything. He just for most of this book.
But it's really cool because the Paladin not only is protecting him, but he wants to teach him. He wants him to see everything that's happening. Like he opens that up immediately and he looks right back, and he's not like, get down. Like, he's not like, be careful, but he's like, no, he's like, look what, I don't think it's necessarily like, look what I have done for you, but it's like, look at this,
look at the nature of the world.
Right.
This is your business, and it's survival, and it's like honor, and it's dealing with death, and seeing things that being exposed to just the right amount of like the cruelty of the world before I can like shelter you away from the real violence.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. Lone Wolf and Cub, obviously one of the major influences on this.
For sure. Wonder when Matt was doing the covers for that, because he did a couple covers for, I think it was that Dark Horse first releases of that. First publishing. Yeah. I wonder when
I don't know when the Matt ones are. I have 21 right here.
Oh. So they're like trades. They're like a couple.
This is from 88, so I think
so it would be before.
Matt's were probably from like 91. So.
This is 93, I think.
Yeah.
92. I believe there's no like insignia, or what is it called in indicia? Yeah.
This is all really good. Like Matt's inks are textural, they're tonal, they're clean. I love the sunset lizard image.
Yeah.
And then we cut back at the end of the page back to the B plot of Laurel. I am noticing now that they do that a lot, that they'll transition back to Laurel on the same page. And usually it's a huge no-no for me. And there's always a way that they sell it and make it work with the story flow instead of it feeling disruptive.
Yeah, agreed. Because it kind of like bookends the scenes. It's not like we're going to the next scene. It's like we need that bookend.
Yeah.
But then, we go back and she's there with Heath. She's like all pissed off. She's like, how? She's like, send more. Send the bigger guys, the redder guys.
The bigger and redder guys.
Yeah.
The more devilish guys.
And then she's like, she had hoped to get Crystal back to the city, which is probably just like something she always says, like, oh, the dangers. There's too many dangers. Well, I was hoping it would be better, but
maybe it's a really intimate look into their mother-daughter relationship, and like the games that it's like this tough times of a working mom with a teenage girl, that's really what a lot of this is, where
Right.
it's like they both ghost each other and like they know how to press each other's buttons, and they do
That's
that
it.
with a game of phone tag for the, in the first 4 issues or
Yeah.
whatever. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I just got to run the entire world. Why don't you run along?
Right.
And then so here we have this beautiful Mesa shot with just
Yeah.
amazing work from everyone, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Like
this
the
is, I
blacks
take it
that
back.
Matt
This is
probably laid
Bernie's
down.
best panel.
Yeah, this is amazing.
This is obviously Bernie's best panel.
If there's these kind of mesas, it's like these kind of things that I'll use for like this would be perfect for the YouTube, image. Perfect space to like add in the cover and the title. This is like perfect. So, and we see that the Paladin is like coming back in from what we see as hunting. He brought dinner.
Yeah.
And this is like,
haven't we seen a version of this scene? Another, in Devil's Odyssey, the Jupiter flashback is him bringing.
That's right. Yeah.
Rabbits. It's not this moment. They like throw them into a minefield.
Oh, that's right. To try to test
it
out.
It's like razor mine daisies. And
that's right.
They like throw it in.
Yeah, you're right. That's like right here where he's like, no more wood on the fire. Not only will the smoke attract those following us, but it will eat through our air as well, because they're like in a cave. He says, come watch as I prepare this.
Yeah,
soon we eat.
It's all about teaching him. And not only that, just like how Matt is repetitive with things that Hunter does to reinforce them, like his criminal MO, he has now repeated specifically, this is how I took care of the kid.
Right.
I would let him sit with his thoughts, and I would go and bring back rabbits, and I would teach him how to make it, and I taught him how to live.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I think the lesson that I mentioned to you earlier, about Orion and the Paladin, is that Hunter's vision, in order for it to come to fruition, it needed compassion to harness the devil, to temper it, and to give it a purpose beyond like the evil,
just pure evil, right?
Yeah, love it.
Next page is super, super well done. Again, we've got these very Mobius style illustrations, these numerous lines to accentuate these walls and rocks, and Mobius drew so much caves and this type of stuff because he lived in Mexico and he loved that type of feel for so long, and with Blueberry. But this is just really cool. He's like spread out the bones. He dumps something out here. He's got like a little transponder or something like that that's trying to reach,
I guess so,
Kong.
Reach or jam, or I wasn't sure.
Me neither. Yeah, it's left a little vague there.
Here we've got Matt's next page with Laurel. He goes all in on the gradient screen tones.
Yeah, those literal screen.
And they're, she's being pampered, fashion and spa days and all these things from her guys. And Heath is just he's her henchman or hatchetman.
Yeah, for sure.
And the report is, they've survived. Good news. We found their trail and they're moving to the next action location.
Right. Chicago. Towards Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like, send a message to the criminal underground of Chicago. Whoever finds the abductor and I guess the prince or whatever, the heir apparent, they don't say what's going to happen, but now, if you're ready to turn on the next page, we get a very different view. This is clearly somewhere different. They're clearly in a city now. They're clearly in a darker place, and the whole mood and the whole thing changes. We get some great Bernieism back here in the back corner of panel 1, and some nice coloring here that really changes the feel as we're in this kind of cantina bar here. A very Millennium Falcon-esque booth there.
Yeah, for sure. And he's there's violence and there's fighting, and we can watch a little bit of it. All right, finish. Now we got to go. It's like protecting, but not too much helicopter parenting, I guess.
Yeah, and he takes his like face mask, his like front mask off.
He's got to. I guess he's done with eating. I don't know why he took his mask off now. But.
Well, because he does. I guess he does eat, though we don't see him eat, and there's only one plate. So again, I guess that's a little clue to be like he has no stomach. Because I guess we see he's only basically like from the ribs up.
As they leave, somebody tips off pursuers.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like, we saw him. And then they continue on their bike until
look at those buildings, Matt. Oh, amazing. Yeah, I'm sorry. They get stopped by a local gang of Grendels.
Mm-hmm. They're cruising down Lakeshore Drive there.
They got lightsaber nunchucks and look at this.
Oh yeah,
Darth Maul.
Yeah,
spear tips. Okay.
And now they're like, oh, you're like a military guy, a full-fledged soldier. Chicago's not good enough for you, old chili old chai. Ineligible for clan status, huh? That's interesting.
They were not good enough to be recognized as a COP clan or whatever it was. So he dispatches all these guys in incredibly violent fashion while telling them how great he is. Mm-hmm. He has no clan, no rank. He's unique. And then he just bloodily.
That's kind of him going through like the tenets of the like Vivat Grendel like pledge. He's like, without name and without rank. Oh, I guess not. Maybe he's like.
I mean, he's saying that this, I think that by the time that happened, it was a machine that Orion had run away from his control.
Oh yeah.
And this project much more successful.
For sure. Man on 21, that top splork, that splorking kick right there.
That's a good one. Really nice. Yeah. Matt does a nice job shading the bottom of the blood. So it really.
Oh yeah.
No holding line up top.
A lot of depth, yeah. And he's like, Jesus fucking balls, Jeremy. You deserve that one, you stupid bastard. And then this guy with like the ski helmet and ski goggle, or like ski, helmet and stuff. He's like, shit, what? Oh my God. What happened? He like, so he knocks it. Wait, what happens? He grabs his like long staff with the thing and he like thrusts it towards that guy, kind of like slicing his side, rips his nip off. And then he's like, what? He turns to him and then with one smooth swoop, Prime just takes his old noggin right off. Love it.
Yeah, I really like this panel where the thud where the body falls, the lighting on Prime that highlight like along the ridge of his nose. I mean, that's Eisner material, fellas. And a lot of these little effects. I mean, in panel 1 too, as well. Like the way Bernie does it is so subtle, and it really feels like a rounded object you can run your finger across.
This stacked panel here on the right, it's like the sequence is like, it's so cinematic where he cuts off the head and then he turns around, puts his back to the body, and we see the action kind of like taking place behind him as he turned his back to like this dead guy, and he's like moving towards the next guy with these little
totally brutal and gory version of the Indiana Jones Raiders Lost Ark sequence. It's just that turned up to 11, and then the high angles on the camera just sort of heighten and punctuate the moment.
We got like as he comes back coming up,
as he comes back from the Nikki Sixx hand decapitation fight. Look at Jupiter's expression as he's like feels a certain way about the Paladin.
Yeah, this dude is like, he does that thing where he's like, like shows off all his shit, and Prime just like zoink, takes his arm right off, and then the dude's like, huh?
Stabs him to death and walks away.
Oh my God, he's just like, now we're done. Walks away right to Jupiter, and Jupiter's like, holy shit. And then they just cruise off to New York City.
Yeah. Turn the page for a splash, and that's it. Like this is your lot, kid.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Great. There's an interesting, for historical purposes, an interesting little write-up in the back here called Afterword Extra Extra some of the answers to Matt Wagner's questions from hell. I'll leave this up to y'all to read if you've got the floppy. It's historically interesting. It was no doubt this absolute shit show of a time in Matt's life that sucks so bad. It's probably the worst thing that can happen in the comics industry. And I think, and I would hope that the industry has moved away from this type of bullshit due to shit like this.
Did you know that Netflix is going to have Grendel on Netflix? Oh my God. That's going to be amazing. Who cares about the old bad news?
Who cares about the bullshit?
Fuck that shit.
There is a really nice photo of him and Tim, though. That's worth showing.
There you go. Very nice.
Yeah. So fuck that bullshit. We're all back. It's been 2 years since the public read Grendel, and they are psyched. Diana's back as the editor. They're fucking psyched about that. Matt is back to, he says right here, this is like the good ending to it, where he's psyched about it. You know, I forgot to mention at the beginning, they do say this is chapter 41. Yeah. So it's not like they started again, you know, so this is technically still volume 2, chapter 41, you know?
Yeah. I heard someone described what Matt had said, that Grendel is a unlimited series of limited series or something. Something like
well,
that.
he says he'll continue to contribute in various respects, both as creator, coordinator, and jack of all needs ad infinitum.
What could be better? What could be better?
Love it. Oh, and it's interesting too, because the Batman Grendel team up was sucked into the bullshit, and people are still waiting for it. He's like, it's been done for 2 years, but guys, it's like so close. You're gonna be blown away.
And I guess when does Sandman Mystery Theater begin? Later, like 96?
Oh, I don't know that.
95?
I thought it was like 91. Well,
okay, I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too.
Wowie wow. Well, so it's the beginning of a brand new era. It's a
new day.
It's a beautiful day. It's a new day, and what a great
things are only up from here.
Yeah, what a change in pace from what we've been reading for all the other stuff.
Yeah. It's amazing to be here. War Child, again, like you said, is something that a lot more people know. A lot of people, pick this up. I mean, these covers.
That's their Grendel. That's a lot of people's anchor point.
Yeah, is the prime of it all.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, what you think?
I'm excited. It's really good. I think that the series overall, I mostly remember it as being very monster of the week, but also it's much different in context as chapter 41 instead of the first thing you ever read.
Right.
It's a completely different multi-layered book. But I do remember there being like a big structural like twist in the last issue that really like drives the story forward. And between Grendel Prime and Susan and Jupiter, that's a big meaty, this ties into everything that's gonna come next. So this is like the last major era carnation of the character. Agreed. Off with a bang.
Hell yes. I one of the things that always stuck out to me about this series too is when I would see it in long boxes or whatever is there's that cover where it's Prime versus that giant ape. They're like vampire gorilla. Oh my God. Can't wait till we get there. But no spoilies. All right, y'all. Until next week.
No spoilers until we get there.
Yes.
Take care.
Viva Grendel.
Viva Grendel. Keep on Grendeling.
And keep on Grendeling. All right, y'all. Sweet.